And we're live now. Hello,
Yay.
everyone that's out there watching this.
Hi.
We're here to talk about Jade City. Let me just grab it. We've been buddy reading Jade City for the last, a month and a half now? We started
Yeah,
oh no, maybe just over a month. I think we
just a
started on
month.
the 10th of May.
Yeah.
So it's been a while, and now we're here to talk about it and give our thoughts and stuff like that. We're going to start off with like a non-spoilery section, just so anyone that's out there watching that wants to know our thoughts but does not want to know any of the spoilers, who hasn't read it but is planning on reading it at some point, you can watch, and then we will tell you when it's time to turn off the live and not listen anymore, so you don't get spoiled. Yeah.
Perfect. Do we all want to introduce ourselves quickly to everybody?
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're so my name's Chloe. This is my channel. If you're new to my channel, if you came here from someone else's channel, I read a lot of different stuff. This is actually quite not out of my comfort zone, but out of what I usually do because I don't read a lot of fantasy. So it was fun, especially to read an urban fantasy with like a sort of Asian influence, because I've never read anything like that before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Should I go next?
Yeah.
I'm Leah from Team with Leah, and I mainly read fantasy. So reading Jade City was really in my comfort zone, and I had really a fun time reading it.
Hi, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Steph from Steph's Bookish World. I primarily read mystery and thrillers. So like Chloe, this was very, very much out of my comfort zone, and I didn't know how I would like it. I did, like with fantasy, I always get so overwhelmed with just like the big worlds and the characters. So I didn't know how I was going to feel about this book. So yeah, it was very out of my comfort zone.
So I'm Lauren from Lauren's Book Club. I primarily read fantasy and romance, so like this is in my comfort zone. And I enjoyed it, but there was just a few things I had issues with.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Trin from the channel Transformers. So I guess my thought on Jade City, I will say, is a little bit difficult to express my opinion because number one, I know for a fact right now I'm definitely in a reading slump. I can I still finished this book. I finished this book literally like at 120. I listened to the audiobook on like 2.5 speed. I was like, the live show is like a 2. I gotta finish this. I'll feel so bad if I'm like, hey, I can't be in a live show. I haven't finished this book yet. So I still trying to finish this book, but I know for a fact after, like, now that I'm done, I'm not gonna read anything for a while. I'm not gonna force myself to. I just don't want to read it. So of course, when I was reading it, I can feel myself like not invested in this story, even though it's good, and I definitely see why people really enjoy it and love it. But for me, I thought it was just okay. Some things I like, some things I don't like. As for the characters, there are too many characters, and I have a very hard time keeping track of everything. It's to the point where I literally had to put in Jade City characters because I'm just like, I really need a list. And luckily, I found a list from Fonda Lee, the author. I think she has a list of characters on her website, something like that. It's like a PDF, but I really found the list and I looked through it because I'm just like, I just could not keep up with everything. So I'm very grateful for that list because I definitely know like the clans, the different families, and then like the characters under that family, because there's just so much going on. So I enjoyed the story. It's not my favorite. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5 stars. I think it's okay. It's just average. But I really hope that like the second book will be amazing. I'm pretty sure it will. Like the average rating is so high, and I hate saying this, but I do look at the average rating, in a way sometimes is reflective on the actual book, but sometimes it's not. It can be a whole lie. But I'm not sure if I will continue with the series. As of right now, I'm just gonna not read for a little bit, and then I'll think about this decision later on, because I know that the third book, Jade Legacy, will be out in November. So like I know for a fact a lot of people are excited for the finale. So as of right now, I think this is okay. Not sure about continuing with the series. I think Leah will, because I saw your of you getting the second book, and I thought it was so funny. But yeah, that's my opinion for this book.
I think that's a good segue, actually. So anyone watching in the comments, then if you guys want to let us know, one, if you've read the book, and if you have read the book, if you guys can just leave your ratings, just put like a star emoji or something in the comments for your ratings. And I think like now we can kind of go around and just kind of tell everyone whether or not we enjoyed this book or didn't enjoy this book. Chloe, do you want to start? Give us your star. I don't know if you guys do star ratings, first of all. So like if you don't, like don't feel pressured to do star ratings. But yeah, Chloe, do you want to start and tell us if you liked it, didn't like it, and what your star rating was?
So I think I was kind of the same as Trin, maybe not quite as severe, but I know that I've been in a reading slump for the last month or so, especially because it's like coming up to exams. So I'm like I can't give the time to reading as I'd like to. So I think that the first half of the book was definitely affected by that, and especially because it's a book that you have to focus so much on and try and understand all the characters and stuff. I think it would actually be a lot better if she had have put like a family tree or something, or like some kind of like physical like schematic sort of thing at the beginning. But yeah, it was just getting into it was really difficult. I ended up giving it 4 stars because I think it's good. I think her writing is phenomenal. Like I don't think I've read any writing like that before. And I think that the idea and sort of the inspiration, also the fact that if you look at the blurb, it says that she's a black belt martial artist, which I thought was so cool because you can just see it throughout the way she describes the like the fighting in it. It's really clever, and I always love when authors can sort of tie in things from their own life. So I really enjoyed it. Probably could have enjoyed it more. I think maybe if I was in the right mindset, it would have been closer to like a 4.5 or a 5 star, but it was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I really liked Jade City. I gave it 4.5 stars. The reason why I gave it 4.5 stars is maybe because I heard that Jade War is going to be even better, and I was like, okay, then I'm just going to bump the rating down. Then I can give the other book 5 stars, definitely. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I loved all of the characters, but they were really, really confusing in the beginning, especially in the first few chapters, since they say the last name before the first name, and I was first like, what is going on? But I actually even made like a little mind map in the beginning for all of the characters to remember it, and that really helped. So it was really helpful. And I think that Jade War in the beginning even has like a glossary for all of the characters, so that's quite helpful. Yeah, and what else did I like? Also, what Chloe pointed out with that Fondali has like a black belt in what again? In judo or
some sort of martial
something?
art. It just says martial artist.
Okay,
Yeah.
martial artist. I thought that you could really like see the fighting scenes. I could definitely like imagine them in my own head. And also, I think I already said that in our group chat. I really liked the way Fondali described all of the settings and the settings, because I just imagined Republic City from The Legend of Korra, which is like the spin-off series from Avatar. I just imagined it to look like exactly like Republic City, and therefore it was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said at the beginning of this book was 100% out of my comfort zone. Fantasy is something that's so confusing to me. So when we first decided that we were going to do a buddy read of this, and Leah so kindly like separated all of our chapters, and like we're going to be reading 100 pages per week and everything like that, in the back of my mind I was thinking like, this is going to be way too slow. Like I read books like so quickly. I'm like, I'm just going to get lost even more. And I'm just going to need to like read ahead or something like that. But this book was so complex in my mind that I almost felt like I was falling behind on the reading schedule because I was taking notes. Like I took probably 20 pages of notes per chapter. I separated it, wrote like everything that happened, and I could literally summarize each chapter for you guys in my little notebook here. So yeah, I definitely I loved this book. I gave this book a 4.5 stars as well. And that is saying a lot for me because I barely rate anything 5 stars. So this was a very, very nice surprise. I really liked the pacing of this book a lot. And I'll speak more about it once we start talking about the book. But even the way that Fonda Lee just put in the like one it was like 3 or 4 chapters of Barrow, the character Barrow in this book. I loved just the little sprinkle of that like entire story of him. So I thought that Fonda Lee did such a good job with this book. The pacing was just phenomenal to me. As everyone else said, though, the characters and keeping them straight, that was one of the first things I commented in our group chat. I said, like, is anyone else struggling with the characters? Because I'm not understanding it. But once you really understood, like, okay, who is like the horn of this clan, or what are even the clans, like No Peak and then the Mountain, and then like once you kind of figured that out and broke it up, it became a lot better. I should have done what Leah did and made like kind of like a map and separated them, but other than that, I loved this book so much.
That's good.
So I just found the first like 200 pages a bit boring to get through, and like the first 100 was really confusing. And then I just felt the first 200 was slow. But then once it got past the 200-page mark, or like the second interlude, it really picked up, and then I really started to enjoy it. So like I'm tossing up between a 3 and a 4-star rating, but I'm really, really not sure yet. And I've just been thinking about it. And it took me forever to read this book. And I think it could have been because I had exams. And like this was such a book that needed so much concentration.
Yeah.
But it just took me forever, and I was like, I don't want to pick it up, but like I was enjoying my time. I just did not want to read it. So I really don't know.
Yeah. I think for like the first 50 pages, I was just kind of lost because I feel like we were bombarded with so many characters, and around that time I was not familiar with like the relationship, but then also how things work in this world, like the clans and all that stuff. But then I feel like once we get into the part where like Shay comes back, and then we get to see Lon Hilo, and then the granddad, that's when I'm like, okay, I'm like kind of familiar with this. So this is like the Call family, and they run the No Peak clan and all that stuff. And then eventually I'm like familiar with the world. Like I feel like by the end, I'm definitely like, okay, I know the characters, the family, and all that stuff. At times it's still confusing because then we have like the Pillar, Horn, Weatherman, but then we have like the Fist. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not even more complicated. But then it's like the Fist, but then like their family, and then like there are so many names, and a lot of people are dead. So by the end, I'm like, I'm confused a little bit. I'm still a little bit confused, but still, I feel like when it comes to the main characters, I think by now that I've finished this book, I can definitely know like who are like the Cole family, and then like we have like the Mountain Clan and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I feel like at the beginning I was definitely overwhelmed with the information. And actually, I want to ask, would you consider Jade City in the series high fantasy?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
Well, it's supposed to be urban, but for me, it feels like it reads like a high fantasy because the stakes are so high. And that's like high fantasy I've read in the past has been like a large cast of characters, high stakes. Whereas like, yeah, I know that it's got traits of urban fantasy, but it also very much like, I think that's also one of the reasons I found it difficult to get through to begin with, is because I don't know, I feel like maybe urban fantasy is less like rule in your face straight away. But I'm saying that I don't read a lot of fantasy, so. But I read it kind of high fantasy-esque, like a hybrid kind of thing.
Yeah. Actually, real quick, I just looked on Goodreads, and on the site, they have like the genres, and it says urban fantasy, science fiction. Yeah, those are like the main two. So like, I guess it's urban fantasy. I think, I don't know. It's like a mix, because urban fantasy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought urban fantasy was like, yeah, the fantasy elements, but like in our world, like right now, like I think of the Shadowhunter Chronicles, because it says it's set in literally like our world, like New York and Los Angeles and London. But with this, it's like a whole different world.
Yeah.
The city and the country and everything, like that's not ours. And then also, but then I don't know, but I definitely see science fiction because it deals with Jade and all that complexity. So we can have this debate all day long, but it's not a debate. It's like a discussion, like on what genre it is. But I just want to let everyone know that on Goodreads, this is identified as urban fantasy. But in my mind, I'm like, no, this is high fantasy. It's just like too much at times. It's so complex.
Yeah.
I also feel like it's a mix out of high and urban fantasy, especially since the world in Jade City is really like based in the 1950s of our world, and a lot of the stuff that's going on in here is also like very similar to stuff that happened in our world. And also like the technology and all of that. That's why I thought it's also like urban fantasy. But I think that for people who never really read high fantasy and only urban fantasy, this could be like a perfect book to transfer maybe to high fantasy if they want to try something new out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good mix of both. So I think readers of urban fantasy and of high fantasy would find something that they like in this book. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think it's both. Like, it definitely reads as both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in a way,
Shall
did
we
you
look at
guys read? Should we first read the comments, maybe?
Yeah, well, we've only got one to do with star ratings. I read it and gave it 4.25. I loved all the characters, the political intrigue, and the family dynamics. The ending confused me a little bit, but I will definitely be continuing on with it. I think the ending definitely set it up. It was like really, you could tell she could have ended it like a little bit earlier, but like the last chapter was really just right. This is what's happening, and I'm going to set it up for the next book, which I thought was really clever. I also loved how she wasn't scared to sacrifice characters with the stakes being so high. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, there were so many characters going into it, you kind of had to at some point. Like, they couldn't carry on. Because imagine if, like, in the next book they start introducing more characters, like, it just wouldn't, I don't even think she would have been able to keep up with it at that point. So it just, and I mean, with all the fighting happening, like, it's not like there wouldn't be casualties along the way. It just, you sort of know going into a book like that there's going to be people being slaughtered.
Yeah, actually, I want to ask: are we in the spoiler-free section or like spoiler section? Like now, can we jump into what happened with this book? Because like,
if everyone is done talking kind of like broad, we can definitely go into the spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like from now on, this is the spoiler section because
spoilers.
Spoiler. If you have not read this book, then leave right now because like a lot of things like happen, characters died. And I want to talk about one of the characters that died. I do. So
Okay.
leave. If you have not read this book, leave. Can I say it?
Hold on.
Yeah.
Chloe, do you want to put a banner?
Yeah.
Why don't we just put like a spoiler banner or something in case someone just like comes in and clicks and then
Be like spoilers right now.
Yeah.
There we go.
Well, I don't know how to do that, but cool. Spoilers. Okay. Someone said like how she like finally isn't scared to like sacrifice characters. Yeah. Bruh, let's talk about Lan.
Oh my god, yeah.
I really didn't see it coming, which is so ridiculous to say, but basically with this book, I think 2 days ago I read like the chapter around like halfway through this book. I read the part where Barrow went after Lan, like the lilac wine, something like that. And then something happened to Lan, like he jumped into the water, and then like, so there's that chapter. It ended, and then the next chapter is like really short, but it's like about the gods, I think. And then that's when I stopped reading. And then 24 hours later, I continued reading the book, and that's when Hilo called Shay, and Shay was like I want. She said something along like, what's going on? Okay, if you're not gonna tell me, put Lan on the phone. And Hilo said Lan's dead. That's when I'm like, hold up. Wow. Like I did not see it coming. And I find it kind of ironic how like I stopped at that part. And the next thing you know, the next chapter, that information was revealed to us. I really didn't see it coming. So I want to ask, did anyone see it coming? Were you surprised? Did you cry? I didn't cry, but I'm just curious if you like, shed tears.
Yeah, I'll talk really quickly. So I definitely saw it coming. I think that Fonda Lee was building up to I knew eventually that he was going to die. I didn't know that it was going to happen in that exact way, but the way that she was talking about the overload of Jade constantly being worn by Lan, the fact that Andon multiple times throughout the story before Lon dies talks about like, ooh, should I tell somebody that this is happening? Do you know what I mean? Like he talks about it like that. And then at the end when Biro is like trying to assassinate him, I thought that it would have been done in a different way. I didn't see, because the way that it read, and correct me if I'm wrong, the way that it read is that Lon essentially like overdosed on Jade and like the SN1 and then basically like drowned in the water.
Yeah.
So like I didn't think it was going to happen like that. I thought that he would end up like taking down a bunch of people and then eventually getting killed by Biro, to be honest. I thought that is kind of where that whole part was going. So that kind of surprised me a little bit. And like you, Trin, I didn't really know, like, is he actually dead? Like, I'm not sure if he's actually dead. Like, I think like maybe in the next couple of chapters, we're going to see that he's like reimagined and like, he's like still alive and somehow is able to like still be part of this book, but that never ended up happening. So
I guess that's kind of similar to this comment. I think that would have been cooler if it was like they thought he was dead and then he'd come back and he's like, I'm back from the dead.
Yeah.
But no. I think it was an interesting way to go that it wasn't like just, you know, what you expect. Oh, he's in combat and he gets killed by someone else. It's more like he killed himself. Or like he was killed by this disease that he has because obviously he's addicted to and I think that was also a really interesting parallel between sort of like using Jade and how it's this thing that is used to get these powers and to make yourself like a bigger, stronger, more powerful person, a more feared person, but at the end of the day it's the thing that actually sort of, you know, destroys people. And it's very similar to things like money and drugs and alcohol and all this stuff that we have in our world. There's kind of like a parallel between their world and sort of what's the thing, their vice, I guess, and sort of the vices that people have in our world.
Yeah.
So I, in a way, saw his death coming, but I thought it's going to be Hilo or Lan. One of them has to die in order for the next book, which is called Jade War, to set in. And I thought if Hilo would die, then maybe Lan will be, I don't know, sad and will get a bit crazy. But I also thought that it would be the most logical thing if Lan died, because if Lan dies, then Shay and Hilo are up to leading the clan, which in the end, spoilers, happened. And yeah, it was just probably the most intriguing thing that Fondoli could have written in that moment.
Yeah, so I had no clue that he would die. Absolutely none. I like knew Shay was going to have to join back in the family, but like I didn't expect that to be the reason she would join back in. And like, as bad as this sounds, I didn't really care that he died. Because like that's one of the reasons I had issues with this book, because like I didn't really get attached to many of the characters until the very, very, very end. Like I love Hilo and I love Shay now, but at the beginning I was like, I don't care about any of these people. So his death just didn't really affect me.
Yeah. I know that like I want to say the first 200 pages or so, I actually really like Lan and Shay. I was not sure about Hilo, whatever his name. I think it's Hilo because I listened to
it's Hilo.
And they said Hilo. But like Hilo, he has a temper that I just don't like. So that's why I'm like, I don't know if I like you. So I would like your other siblings. Then when Lan died, I was like, wait, I can't rearrange my favorite characters, I guess. But like Shay, I think Shay's probably my favorite. We can talk about her later, but there's just something about her and her storyline and the things that she went through before, like prior to the book, but then like it's being incorporated into this that I really like. But with Lan, I like him mostly because he's nice. Like he's a chill guy, but then also he's the pillar. But then like he's nice and stuff. People respect him. So when he died, I was like, "Sir, what happened?" But correct. I'm trying to like remember what happened. So like he uses shine. Was there a reason why he started using shine? Like I knew that he killed someone and then he took on too much jade. So like I think that jade caused him so much pain that he had to use shine to kind of balance things out. But then like around the time when he died, I guess the pain intensified. And I'm pretty sure Barrow shot at him too. So there's that. And then I think at the end of that chapter, it was like he was just like, I need to get to the water. I need to get to the water. And he jumped into the water and then he drowned. Because when he died, they did say he died from drowning. But then like, I think Hilo requested an autopsy, and then it turns out Shine was in his body. So I feel like there's just so many elements to his death. Like definitely like murder is a bureau, but then also the Shine and then drowning. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Land would have been fine in the end if he just like had a little overdose. I think they could have brought him to the hospital, but since Barrow was there, it was really hard for him to get there since he was going off from where people were, and then he was just fleeing. And yeah, but I think Lan even also thought that shit, I'm overdosing because I took too much Shine, because I think he said that a few days before he didn't take any Shine, and then he took more than he should have.
Yeah.
Calculated in the end.
Yeah, because he was about to kill Doru. Yeah. I'm honestly so glad that I'm comprehending this damn book, because at first I was like, yo, I don't even know what's going on, but like I'm glad I took some notes on my phone. So like I'm kind of going through here a little bit, but yeah, Lan dies. Unfortunately.
We know that.
Yeah, I'm kind of like Lauren and Chloe. Like I didn't care so much that Lon died, but I actually thought that the characters in this book were so likable. Like I think I was like I liked I didn't like Lon from the beginning. I thought that he was kind of like he was like too of a goody for my liking personally. Like he was just like following the rules. He's like wouldn't break any rules. He's just like doing everything the way it's supposed to be. So Hilo from right from the get-go for me was just like, yes, give me more Hilo, because he's gonna be the one to like the enforcer. He's the one like the muscle behind the clan basically at the beginning, which I really liked. Shay, same thing. I loved her.
Yeah.
Throughout the book. I don't think that I ever kind of looked at Shay and was like, no, I don't like you. Like I liked her from the beginning. I liked all of like what she stood for, how she handled everything. The way that she went in as Weatherman was perfect, I think. And then I actually, up until the very end of the book, I really liked Andon a lot. I thought that he was a very good addition to the family. I can't remember. Is he the cousin?
He was adopted by the Call family.
Right.
They call him cousin a lot. Because
he's not blood, right? I don't think he's blood.
I don't think so, because there's that whole thing of him being like half something or other, like being I can't remember how they describe it.
If you can use that term. I don't know. I feel like half breed, because that's just not a good term. So let's just say biracial, because in a way, like I believe his mom was like a legend. However, tragic things happened to her. But then his father is just some guy that I don't remember. But basically, I guess like he had a lot of pressure on himself because of what his mom went through. I think she actually died from like from the itches. I think that was like something.
Yes,
was
that's
like
right.
Yeah. Oh, that was the. I didn't like that bit.
Start coughing. Okay, real quick. I'm looking at the list from Funnily. It says Andon, adopted grandson of Carlson, of the granddad, a student at the Call Academy. So,
yeah. I really like, I don't know. I really liked his character. At the end of the book, I kind of figured that he was going to take that direction of him choosing to kind of step away from the family. Yeah. I think it makes the most sense for his character to do that. Like he has this absolutely epic battle scene with Hilo. And like we can talk about that as well, because I loved reading that. And then at the very end, we hear him say, like, listen, I kind of am done with this. Like, I don't want to become something that I have seen in the past. And I thought that was very interesting. I really liked the character of Andon and the way that Fonda Lee kind of like wrote him. I obviously in Jade War, I want to see him fighting with the Call family, but I'm just very interested to see kind of where he's going to go in the future for sure.
Yeah. Real quick, I just want to say, throughout this entire book, so like we definitely see the Call family so much. Like even though he's a part of the Call family, I think he's located somewhere else. I think he lives at the academy. And then when it comes to like the adults, like Shay, Lan, and Hilo, they're like doing their own thing, like their political stuff. So I kid you not, at times I forgot about Andon because we were so focused on Lon, Hilo, and Shay. And then when we actually come back to Andon, I was like, oh my god, I forgot about you. I completely forgot about him because like I feel like at times we have not seen him for quite a while, for like a few chapters, maybe at least 50 pages. That when we do see him. I'm so sorry. I hate him so much. I was gonna say when we do see him, when we do see him, I'm just shocked. Oh my god, I'm so embarrassed. I want to.
We're all dog people. It's okay.
Yeah.
There's actually a really interesting comment here.
Yes.
I think like that would be a really interesting way, but at the same time, the thing that I liked about him is he gives me the sort of like chosen one kind of vibes, but she's written it in a really different way. Whereas like usually he would be his own like main character, right? That's how I feel like if there had have been another book that was written solely about him, with him in the center as the main character, and he would have gone on this like epic journey of like becoming this really powerful person, fighting loads of times, whereas just in this one book he's like had this epic battle and then he's actually been clever, which you never see with chosen ones. They're always like sucked into the power and the fame and they want to just get like do everything, whereas he was like really smart and he just thought, this isn't good for me, like look at my history, like my mum, what happened to her, this isn't good for me, and yes, I could help a lot of people, but I'm not going to help myself, so I'm going to step back. And I thought that's a really clever way to look at it, and for him as a character, but also Fonderly writing it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, what Jess wrote there with that she's interested also to see if Anton will end up joining the mountain. You know, the first or the second chapter when we had like Anton's point of view, Gond Ash, that the name of the pillar of the mountain clan. He actually took Anton to see Mada to talk with him, and I was really curious to see if Anton actually will transfer to the mountain clan in like Jade City, because in the beginning he gave off those vibes, but as soon as they killed Lan, he was of course completely against the mountain. So yeah, really curious to see how he will end up.
That actually brings me to another point. How do we feel about Wen?
Yeah.
And how she's going to play a part kind of in all this, because near the end she's like a double agent. She's a oh my god, what are they called?
Stone Eye?
Is that what it's called? Yeah.
That's right. So she's a Stone Eye and kind of like infiltrating the mountain. So I'm wondering how she's going to play out in the next book, because Hilo has no idea that Shay kind of put her up to this.
Yeah, I don't trust her either.
Yeah, well, I think there wasn't enough like diving into her character. She felt very much like Hilo needs someone. Here she is. Like, have a nice couple of sex scenes and stuff like that, just to spice it up a little bit. But there's nothing really about her as a person. And I think it'd be really interesting if in the second book we go into her character. She maybe becomes one of the sort of central characters that we're following.
No. I'm really interested to see the relationship between Wen and Shay, because both of them are kind of not trusting each other, but now they're like working really, really close together. And I think both of them, when we had the chapters out of their point of views, when they were like together, both of them thought, okay, I'm not trusting you, but I'm keeping a close eye on you. So I'm also like really interested to see how that will go.
And I've seen something that said that she plays a much bigger part in Jade War, so you get to see her perspective a whole lot more.
Ooh.
Because I know I love my spoilers, so like I know that she plays a major role in the next book. So yeah.
I love that.
Really fun.
Like, that's what I was thinking of the entire time, that she was kind of introduced in the first book, and how they kind of just were like, okay, Shay, why don't you go befriend this person, because like she's gonna marry Hilo and all this stuff. So like the entire time I was thinking like, okay, she's got to play a bigger part in this. Like either she backstabs the Call family, or she does some like insane thing over in the mountain that just like absolutely crumbles their economy or something. Like, I don't know, but I'm very intrigued.
Yeah, I think,
You go.
Oh, I was just going to say that I think even just from reading this one book, I get the idea that Fonda Lee is a master of characters, that she's not going to write a character in unless they actually play a big role. Like, despite the fact that there were so many characters, I personally think that they all fell into place, even though it's confusing. They all fell into place. They all have a role. And I think that that's, I mean, now we know because of Lauren that she is going to play a big role. But I think either way, anyone that she writes, we all know that they're going to end up doing something sort of integral to the plot.
Yeah, I think like every character that we met that actually has like a name and a little scene in the beginning somehow ends up in the last few chapters to have something to do, like be it to kill somebody or to die themselves. So I think that was also quite helpful to like get to know the people a little bit more, because they actually all came back in one way or another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say there's a scene where when it comes to Shay, and she was just like, is there anything I can do? Like trying to get a job. And I was suspicious then, because it's like she's going out of like she's like all for like getting a job and stuff like that. But part of me is like, you can just literally chill and no one would say anything. I don't know. But at the same time, I kind of understand her, because in a way, people view her as untrustworthy immediately because she's a stone eye. And someone actually commented asking if like we understand what a stone eye is. I kind of do, but I kind of don't. Like it's like it's people who are not trustworthy, like her brothers, because they're the Make brothers, and they're stone eye. And then it's something along the line of like her father can be someone else. Wait, sorry. So her mom was from the No Peak clan. She had a thing with someone from the mountain, and then the Make brothers. But then also, like, even we're not even sure who her father is. Like Wen's father. There's something along the line of like, her father can be literally someone else, and like we don't know. Like I think she's like aware that like her father can be someone else, but she doesn't care, because she literally did not care like who's like her real father, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Sorry, go ahead. Just comment what I was gonna say. Like basically, what I think what we're supposed to know about them is that they don't react to Jade, and you can't tell a stone eye by looking at them. Like, so people wouldn't be able
like read their energy or anything like that.
Right.
Like you can do with like people who use Jade can like feel other people's like you know, senses and energies and stuff like that. You can't do that with her. So she's like completely like a stone, like completely dead, emotionless, like from the outside perspective.
Okay. So she can definitely just do whatever she wants. Like basically, she can literally fly and be kind of shady, and no one would know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
I think the reason that she's seen as untrustworthy is because her family, like her and her brothers, are basically illegitimate because they don't know who the father is. I think that's what it was, and that's why they're so, especially just the three, like her and her two brothers. It was like that massive thing of sort of, first of all, having the two brothers become a part of the clan, and then after that, Hilo sort of starting a relationship with Wen. I think that's the reason that they're so like, you know, seen as shady by a lot of people.
And that's why they had a problem with the two brothers at the academy when Hilo was there.
Yeah, that's why she does the smuggling, because they can't read her.
Got it. Yeah, and then also I want to ask, so there's a scene, the scene where she smuggled in the Jade on behalf of Shay. Then she talks to, is it a counselor, or is counselor the right term? But so I'm confused.
Like the council.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, it's like a counselor,
So Steph said that Wen is working as like a spy in a way for the No Peak clan. So is she spying on the mountain then?
I think so.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought that I'm sorry?
And if they catch her, they can kill her, because they normally don't kill them type of people. But because she's working against them, they're like, you can be killed. So I don't really know.
Yeah, I'm very confused with her role, because I thought that the person that she's talking to in this scene where like she has like a bunch of Jade, I thought that person was like from the country that Shay went to, like Shay escaped to prior to this book. Like
I think so. Yeah.
See, that's why I'm like
senior or something.
And I think I've got like a specific title, their roles. I just can't think of it for the life of me. And it's not Stone Eye. They've actually got a name.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know it?
Well, like the thing that she's doing.
Yeah, it's
The
not
white
See,
spy.
I
red.
just think of it as like a double agent, but I can't
Yeah,
remember
it's
what
not
it's called.
spy. It's like infiltrating or something.
No.
Yeah.
I thought there was a specific name.
Yeah, it's called like the white red. So when it's
Oh,
like the new
see,
white
that
red.
went right over my head.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause
Oh,
I think that
yeah,
Mud
because
was
she
his
took the
name.
Jade to that country, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember there was a scene where some guy was like, "You can't kill me," but Hilo was like, "I can kill you because you're a spy." So like they've got different rules.
That was Mud, the guy who
Yeah.
worked with Barrow, I think. And Hilo
Yeah.
killed him in the end, and he was like the old white red. That's what the chapter was called. And then when Shay and Wen talked, the chapter was called the white red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I wanted to ask you guys is, what do you think about Hilo and his relationship towards people who are not able to use Jade? Because while he's also like marrying and loving Wen in a really honest way, whenever she says something, he's always like, "Yeah, but you're not really important because you can't use Jade." So yeah, what do you guys think about that?
That's interesting. I honestly didn't even pick up on
No, I didn't either.
Me
him.
either.
Leah's just like on another level. She's just like,
Yeah,
she knows
like
exactly
everyone else,
what's
like all
happening.
these things flew over my head.
Are you talking about like how Hilo treats for example how he treats Shay? Because prior to Lance's death, she chose not to like use Jade at all, even though she's like the Call family and like it's like expected for her to literally be part of this family and carry their legacy and wearing Jade like so much to be powerful and stuff. So I see that like the actually, yeah, because that's why I'm not sure about him because like the way he treats people when he doesn't agree with their decision is like very immediate. I think he's the kind of person who like reacts now, but thinks about his consequences later. So like I feel like he talked a lot about Jay not wearing Jade before she chose to. So there's that scene, and then even at the end when Andon is like, I don't want to wear the Jade, he flips out and he literally says, if you don't take the J, you're not part of this family. So that's why I'm not sure about him. I don't want to write him off, but at the same time it's like I don't know, because you have a temper and I don't like that kind of temper, to be honest, because it's like it's kind of detrimental. And it's because now I'm holding him to a higher standard. He's the pillar now. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He's in charge of this. So I have to put so much pressure on him, and I have to view him in such a high standard because he is literally in charge of this. So the way he acts at times is literally like a child. Is he? No, I was gonna say like, is he acting like a child? Kinda. The way he throws tantrum, then yeah, I have to be like, I don't know. I don't like this kind of attitude, to be honest. So I see that. I think I don't know if he views people who don't use Jade as like lesser than him, but I think it's more of like the fact that, hey, you can definitely use Jade. Why aren't you using the Jade at all? Like I think he has the attitude with Shay, and then at the end with Andon.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think that maybe comes out of him being scared? Like he's seen the way that Lan, because he always talks about himself as like saying that he wasn't as good as Lan, right? He's like, I'm not as good as him. I'm not going to be the right person in this role, but I'm going to try my best. And maybe he's just so scared. He's like, he saw the way that Lan was, that he was using so much Jade and he was so powerful, and yet he still managed to die. And that therefore needs everyone else to protect themselves. Everyone that he loves, he doesn't want to love them unless they're protecting themselves by using Jade. But maybe that's where it comes from.
Yeah, because he's so family orientated. Like he doesn't want anything to happen for them, and he cares so deeply for them. But then he pushes them away as soon as they don't wear Jade.
Yeah.
That could also be that.
I was thinking of that because I like that point. It's like so there are two ways. He's either like he's on top of the hierarchy, that he's like everyone needs to wear J or whatever, or it's more of the fact that these like Shay and Andon, literally part of his family, choosing not to wear Jade at all, that can like they cannot protect themselves because you know like even like in the beginning, I want to say the first half, I'm pretty sure Hilo hired someone to like live in the same apartment with Shay because she didn't wear Jade at all. So she can literally be in danger all the time. So he had like a bodyguard for her. Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
So maybe is that too? Like I think it's like a mix of both. But like I see him being like, okay, you're not wearing Jade. That's not really a good move because in a way the mountain hates us and the mountain can definitely kill you. But you're not wearing Jade, so you cannot protect yourself. So I can like hire this person to watch over you. So that literally happened with Shay. She was so mad, and I didn't see it coming. That's why I kind of like Shay, because she found the information by accident. Like she looked into the apartment and it was like, completely empty, and then that's when she's like, "Oh my god, Hilo!" Like the way that she immediately knows that it was Hilo who hired the guy to watch over her. I thought it was so funny because I didn't even connect the two together. But yeah. I like that question.
Wasn't it Lan who actually hired it? Like when they were talking, Lan hired the person.
Yeah.
Yes, it was Lan.
Well, it was Lan in charge at that point, so.
Yeah. That was before. Yeah, but
because I know she blamed Hilo, and then Hilo was like, it was actually Lan, I think.
Yeah.
No, you might be right.
Yeah, I think that's what it was as well. Because it was before
I
Lan
remember
died.
getting really mad at Hilo, and I'm like, he's just trying to protect you. And then on the phone, he was like, it was actually Lan, and I think she was a bit like kind of I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's what I thought happened.
I was Hilo the entire time.
Going back to the character of Hilo, I think Trin, you were saying that he's like he just acts kind of like childish and everything like that. I just think that Fonda Lee has so much more of like a story to tell with Hilo. Like I really think that his character development is going to be so insurmountable, like in the future books. Like I think that it is all. That's why I think I like Hilo a lot, is because
there's a potential.
Right. I know that she's writing him this way because in book 2, he's probably going to make like a really bad mistake because of his ego or something. And it's going to like really fall back on No Peak. And then in the 3rd book, if he makes it to the 3rd book, who knows? Like he's going to really have like I don't know, who knows, right? He's going to have, he's just going to have so much growth and stuff like that as a character. So that's why like I just know that he's going to make big mistakes probably in the 2nd one. And then we're going to see like his potential come out in the 3rd. So I'm holding out hope for Hilo.
Yeah, I get that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So about
Hilo,
sorry.
They do time skips in these books because I was looking at the synopsis for like the 2nd and 3rd book, but not like spoil because I was spoiling. But they do time skips, and I feel like that's going to affect my enjoyment of it because like you're going to have these massive time skips, and it's like, why are you doing that? Because I don't tend to like them.
Yeah.
So they do massive time skips as well.
Lauren, you give me so much anxiety with your like spoilers and like you reading.
I saw myself that Lan died.
The reading,
I read the page and I was like, "Oh no, I shouldn't have read that page."
Like, Lauren will literally like skip to the end of a book just to like see.
100%. I need to see if it's a happy ending.
Wow. Like, so
I don't read sad books, so I need to spoil myself.
Did you actually read like the last chapter, the last page?
No, I didn't. I tried not to spoil myself with this book. Yeah. Like, I actually read it in order.
Okay.
Like, but normally I spoil myself with everything. Like, I'm that person who watches like TV shows and books, and I just spoil myself the whole time.
Yeah.
Because like otherwise, I have way too much anxiety reading it. I'm like, I need to know what's going to happen, or I'm too impatient.
Yeah.
So like, I want to see something happen now. So I'm like, when does it happen?
Yeah. I feel like when I do that, I always have the worst luck because I know for a fact I tend to look up a wiki because there's always like a wiki for like each book series or like TV show, whatever. Yeah, I tend to do that, and then I feel stupid after because then I spoil stuff myself. Like, oh my god,
they'll tell you the characters that die, and like it's like you look under their bio and it's like deceased, and you're like, no.
Yeah, it always happened. Like always, it's so annoying. But like I try to avoid with Jade City, which I'm glad because then like I can just like enjoy for what it is and be shocked as I go along with the story. So. And then actually, let's talk about Shay because I feel like we didn't really talk about her. I really like Shay. She's probably my number 1 favorite right now because she doesn't piss me off that much. But I like Shay. I like her. I I think the reason why I like her so much is because I understand like where she's coming from. Like she I think towards like the before Lan's death, basically, she just wants a normal life. She doesn't really want like the connection that she like has, because she's part of the Call family. Like, like her brothers are the pillar and then the horn. And I think it was literally expected for her to be the weatherman. Like Hilo wanted them three, like the siblings, the trio, to like be in charge of this clan. But when she backs out, and then Doru, like, is still like the weatherman, or like was still the weatherman, he was so mad at her because like in a way she defies his expectation. So like she left, and then she didn't even take any Jade with her. I like that. Like I like her kind of what you call it, going against her family in a way for something for her. It just sucks that like there was slut shaming. I think like even Hilo and the granddad call her a whore and shit like that. I was literally so mad because it's like, wow, your family call you a whore and a slut for, I don't know, like falling in love with another person who's not in this country or whatever. Because like I think she left the country or like the city. You get it, but like, she left, went to another place. So I think it's shitty that happened. And then when she came back, they act all nice and stuff. I don't know, but like she knew that they call her a whore. So
yeah,
I felt so bad for her. But yeah, I like that part. Like her, well, she came back and then she became the weatherman. But I think with that she did those things for like she chose to do those things. So it's like her decision. Like there's like a sense of agency with her because like with Lan dying, she literally chose to put on the Jade and become the weatherman. Like no one really pushed her to do it. Maybe Lan's death, but at the same time, like Hilo didn't really call her up and be like, "Hey, can you be the weatherman? Can you start wearing Jade?" She did like those things by her, like for like she chose to do those things herself. And then at the end, I like the part where when Andon was like, "I don't want to take any Jade out," she's like sympathized, like she understands his feeling, like not wanting to take Jade. So that's why I like her. Like I like that she's sympathetic, she's nice and stuff. I'm trying to remember if there's any scenes where she's pretty cruel and stuff, but I don't know. I could be wrong. I know that there's a scene where she killed people. Like I think she was the one who orchestrated the plan to kill this group of like the Mountain Clan, like right after Lan's death, because it was a whole thing, like she, Hilo, and other people kill a bunch of people from the Mountain Clan.
That's what starts the war.
Yeah, like that scene happened. But other than that, I like Shay. She's my favorite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was.
If she's your guys' favorite or second favorite.
Yeah, so I think it was actually Hilo who said, "Let's kill any people in this casino or something." It was that are wearing Jade. But Shay was like in the front row killing a lot of people, and I don't know. I really like Shay too, but the moment she put on Jade, I was like, okay, she's really, really badass, and I love how she's going nuts now, right now. I love that moment, and I was waiting for that the whole book.
Yeah, I really liked Shay as a character. I think that I even liked her like prior to her kind of coming back and wearing the Jade. Like she definitely turned into like this badass character. But yeah, I really liked her. I liked how independent she was as a character. She kind of like did her own thing, was following her own rules. Like right when her family was kind of like, "Oh, you shouldn't marry." I guess I can't remember who she was married to.
Oh, Jared. Jared, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Like she didn't even care. Like she was doing her own thing. I loved that. And then the scenes where she like, I don't know what it is. I just love these like little like spies going into like places when she was doing the KJA, like looking at all of like the financial books and stuff like that. And just like finding all of like, where is all this Jade going to and stuff like that. And just kind of playing like a secret spy basically. Like I love that kind of stuff. So I really liked Shay for sure.
Yeah. Actually, I wanted to ask about this part because I remember and I'm remembering kind of disgusted, but basically I just oh my god. But Shay, let's talk about Doru. Like we can also talk about the granddad too, because like that whole thing was like a lot for me. But there's a scene where she remember going through Doru's house and stuff, and then she found like naked pictures of like a friend of her, but in Doru's place. So I'm asking, was her friend like a child, like a minor, or like how old was her friend when this happened? Because like, wait, real quick, how old are they right now? Like, is
Oh,
he
I've got no clue.
Right
I
now,
no
Jay is like
clue.
27 or something, and Hilo is
Yeah.
28, and Lan was like 9 years older, and Anton is 18.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying to think, like, was her friend like young when like she got nude, like when she, because Doru is an old ass man, if I remember correctly. I think like Doru is like the same age as the granddad. Like that's the thing. So I'm like, okay, why instead of blaming on your friend, because like I think she did confront her friend and her friend started crying and all that stuff. But I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, but like let's put all of this hatred and energy towards Doru, who should know better,
Yeah.
who's older, who's kind of gross and nasty. Like, why do
Yeah.
you, old man, have naked pictures of this young girl? Like,
Yeah.
that's what I want to know. So,
Doru and the granddad are both trash, I think.
yeah.
And,
Oh, I
I think
agree.
it was.
I hated the granddad.
So did I. I hated
He
him
was
the entire time.
horrible.
And I can't remember. Was the granddad the one that like let Doru escape?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He gave
Yes.
him Jade.
Yeah, they're both trash. I didn't
He was
like
really
either
mean
of
to
those
Hilo
characters.
all the time, but I think he loved Shay. Like, he was really nice to Shay. But, like, he
Yeah.
was really horrible to Hilo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why, that's the thing about Hilo. I feel sad when like he reflects on his childhood, because it was mentioned that like Lan, was loved, Shay was loved, but he was not. Like he got so much shit, and like I think he was being punished all the time too. So like there's
Yeah.
always just unfair treatment towards him. And then also like their father passed away when they were so young. So in a way they were raised by the granddad, but like the granddad
Yeah.
treats everyone very unfairly.
Yeah, because isn't my mum somewhere else as well?
Yeah, her mom's just like, I don't want to be part of this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So you guys remember in the end, when the grandpa was getting old, Jay allowed Doro to play chess with him. And from that moment on, I was like, okay, the grandpa is definitely going to help Doro escape, because on page 140, which was where Shay also discovered that Paya, her friend, that she wait, let me rephrase that. On page 140, she found out that Doro had like these pictures of Paya.
Yeah.
And then she also confronted her grandpa, actually, and he said that what did I wrote? He has a war trauma. And I was like, dude, that is no excuse just because he has war trauma to have like naked pictures from some girl who he clearly pressured to do that stuff. And I thought it was like so disgusting.
It says, I think it quotes like, every man has weaknesses. You don't know what they did to Dorujen during the war. He has never treated you with any disrespect, is literally the quote. And it's like, just because Doru has not done anything towards Shay does not mean that he's still a good person doing these other things. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. I think it'd be a really interesting thing to look into, because obviously in this book it's not mentioned as much. It's just kind of like this is part of him, but we're not really going to discuss it. It'd be really interesting. I could imagine, like, I don't know, him and the granddad being part of some kind of like weird group kind of thing that, does these, like it's typical with sort of like, if it's mafia, if it's clans, if it's whatever, people of high power tend to be in these groups where they exploit and abuse people that are underneath them, like power-wise. To be an interesting thing to go into and sort of discuss that, especially because I just really feel like they are sort of the same as you see in the real world, these old people who have really old views and beliefs in sort of the way they act, and they hide behind it by saying, we're just traditional, we just want to uphold tradition, when at the end of the day it's because they don't want to move on from the fact that the way the world is today isn't the same as it was when they were growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
well said, Chloe. Well said.
I wonder if Dora's going to have a bigger role in Jade War, because I think it was like saying about how when he escaped, he could easily join the mountain. And like, I don't think we saw him after he escaped. So is he going to play like a bigger role in Jade War? I don't really know.
That'd be interesting,
yeah.
Yeah. I guess, like, what did you guys think about Barrow? Because I thought he was like, I just thought that he was so interesting the way that Fonda Lee just placed him. Like we hear about
Yeah.
him, he's just like this thief, and like he thinks he's this like big top, like he's like the number one, and really like he's done nothing. Like at the end of the day, he's really done nothing. And I just like I didn't like him as a character, but I loved reading about him because he just thought that he was this like big tough guy. He would like go, I can't remember who he went to, and he's like, I just killed the mountain of the No Peak clan, or the pillar of the No Peak clan. And the guy's like, are you crazy? Like, you are not supposed to be doing that. Like, you were tasked with robbing or shooting up the Lilac Divine or whichever club that he was supposed to go and shoot up. And then he's like, you got to go. So then he like goes through the tunnels. But then after he like diverts himself, like I thought Biro was such a fun character. Like, what did you guys think about him as a character?
I don't know. I think he's gonna have a bigger role in Jade War because at the very end he like steals all of I think it's gonna be lands like Jade he stole. Is that what he stole? Yeah.
He, like,
so I feel like he's gonna get like have like a much bigger role in the next book. Because in this book he didn't really do anything. So I feel like he's gonna be a lot more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think like that funny side character that just like thinks he's doing all of this stuff, but really he's just like not doing anything. But like he thinks he is.
I think he's a really fun sort of like, obviously not a villain, but kind of like he's supposed to be a bad guy, but he's just laughable. Like he's not that bad. He doesn't really do that much stuff. Yeah. He really reminds me of, I could be sort of completely on the wrong tracks. He reminds me of Flynn Rider in the sense that, you know, Flynn Rider at the beginning of Tangled, he's kind of like, like I'm this criminal and I steal this stuff and I'm really cool, especially the bit where he was going through that secret tunnel. It reminds me of the scene in Tangled where Flynn Rider and Rapunzel, they're walking through, they get ushered, and I was just imagining that in my head. I think he's really got that kind of like bigger, that like he thinks he feels, what was the saying, he's like too big for his boots. Like he feels like he's a lot better and stronger than he actually is, which is going to be really funny if he then like he's stolen all this jade and then he's just going to like, you know, come into the next book, sort of make this big spectacle of himself and just realize that despite all these thoughts he's had of himself, that he's just not cut out for it, and it's probably going to end really badly for him, I think, but it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, so I really hated him. Sorry.
You hated him?
Yeah, I hated him, but I loved him as a character in the book because he's interesting, especially since we get to see the world through his eyes, and normally we get just like all of the views from the other people who are like really involved in the Greenbone life, and with him we see the life how it is not when you're not a Greenbone, and that was really interesting.
Yeah. Leah, do you have any other questions that?
Let me look. What was your guys' favorite moment in the book?
Oh. Probably the scene where they take revenge after Lan dies. That's probably my favorite scene that I can think of. That's the one that first popped into my brain.
Yeah.
So when they like infiltrates, well, not infiltrates, when she like takes advantage of all the people who are higher up in No Peak clan. Well, not higher up, but like when she goes in and tries to get people on her side. Do you know that scene? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Them two scenes.
Yeah. I wrote down, so I have 3. So my first, the first one that I liked was right at the beginning when we have that, like the robbery of Jade. That's kind of gone wrong, and it's just like pow, right in the beginning we get so much action and we kind of see like what the Call family is about, so I loved that. The second one was Lon dying. I really liked the build up to that because I remember that like Lon was being chased when he was in the vehicle, and then I remember him being like, oh, I'm being chased, like we need to do like a U-turn, and there was just like so much buildup to it. So I really, really liked that. I kept picturing it as a movie, right? Like I think that would make a very like cool scene in a movie. And then obviously the end with like Andon and Hilo kind of killing the Armada?
Yeah, they killed Gaunt.
Oh, Gaunt Ash.
The horn of the mountain.
Yeah. So like I really liked that scene as well.
Yeah, that was also one of my favorite scenes with when Anden and Hilo were killing Gond. I thought that was really cool, especially since we got to see more of the powers of Anden. And I'm really interested to see if he picks up Jade again, how he will handle it, since he's not only how do you call it? Well, he's not from the same blood as the Cole family and everyone, and because he's biracial, and I'm really interested to see if we will get to know more people who are biracial who can use Jade in the end, since it had such a weird effect on him since he was so much stronger than the other guys.
Yeah.
Just really quickly, I also forgot to mention, I really liked the Academy scenes as well. I wish we almost got a little bit more Academy, because I thought it was very like cool, because there was it was at 6 essential. There's like, they talk about it briefly, that they have like 5 or 6 like essential like
skills,
subjects essentially. And I think like I would have really liked to see those kind of explored more, and just kind of the Academy scenes, but I really did like them when they were like going through the tests and stuff like that.
Yeah, I really like the ending when they were talking about like people basically deciding what they wanted to do afterwards. I think that'd be a really interesting thing to sort of see, like how people go from, because it's very much, it's like you go to school and then once you're done with school you go straight into whatever it is you sort of pledged yourself to be a part of. I think that'd be really interesting. That for some reason that just that bit made me more excited than the rest of like the actual school stuff. It'd be really interesting to go into the academy and sort of see more about how that works. But I think there's something behind the idea of someone like studying and then sort of straight away being like, oh, I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing this, that I found really interesting.
Yeah, I'm also really like interested to see how if we will get more explanation of how Jade works, as I felt like that was maybe the weakest part in the first book, because oftentimes it would just be like, okay, now they're jumping and now they're really strong and now they're channeling. I was like, what exactly does this mean? I want to know more about it.
Yeah, I think my favorite scene is the same with Steph. It's the part that's leading up to Lan's death, basically. Like the part where he was at Lilac Wine and Barrel, and another person was, you know, like they see the pillar and then they follow him and all that. Yeah, it was like a lot, to be honest, because to be honest, I was actually really tired when I read that scene, and surprisingly, I was like kind of engaged. But at the same time, 2 chapters later, I stopped reading because I was just like so tired. And then I picked up the book like a day later, and that's when Hilo was like, Lon's dead, and I was like, hold up, it coming. But yeah, I feel like that scene, I definitely remember it because it was like the stake is so high. You just like I mean, I didn't know what's gonna happen, because like I really thought Lon was gonna be okay. You know, I didn't really expect him to die. So that scene took me off guard.
So I just had like one more question, and that was like, what did you guys think about the way Fonda Lee portrayed women, as we get very different women in this book, because we have, for example, Shay, who's trying to stand on her own, where we also have like Shay's mother, who's like just this wife and who's okay with being just a wife. And then we also have the pillar of the Mountain Clan, who's like this really strong and harsh woman.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just really interesting to see like all of these different aspects of women and how they were treated in this fantasy world. And I just wanted to ask you guys what you thought about this.
Now that I think about it, I think it's good that we have a lot of women, but I guess like their roles and their viewpoints are so different. So like we have Shay, like you said, she's trying to be independent, and then we have the mom. I feel like the mom is barely in here. Like, and when we do see her, we're just like, oh hey, you're here. And then we have Wen, who's like also trying to help Hilo. I think she's trying to help the clan, but then like I completely forgot about the Pillar of the Horn at times, mostly because it's like there's a scene where like I think she threatens Shay, and I was genuinely scared of her, like the way she comes about it, because it was like the person, like I forgot his name, but he raised her to be like a really tough and hard person, but then he won't like he won't give her the position of the pillar. So I think she kills so many people to the point where like he eventually gained that position. So like I was actually really scared of her, even though like when we do see her, she's just stoic. But that scene where she threatens Shay, I was freaking terrified, because even Shay was like really scared, like, oh my god, I'm so screwed, because this woman, the pillar of the mountain, just threatened me like this. And like I think Shay had no doubt about it. Like she's like, yeah, if Mata say shit like this, she's gonna do it. Like there's no, like she's not gonna lie, you know, she's gonna do it. So that's why Shay was so scared. So I don't know. I think it's good that Fond du Lis has like different women in different roles, and like their personalities very different as well. I think it's good. the portrayal.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought that it was really, for me, it feels a lot more natural than other people. I think typically from like men authors, they tend to write women in either in like a very stereotypical like submissive role, like, you know, not sort of standing up for themselves and stuff like that, or they do the opposite and they want to be like, oh look, I'm progressive, I'm a feminist and blah blah blah, and they make the woman just overly like almost like a man, because it's the idea of like, oh, men's traits are the things that, you know, would make a woman strong. And then with like a lot of women writing stories, if they want to sort of portray women in a certain way, they'll do kind of the same thing of making them just seem very unnatural. Whereas I think that just the variation showing that there can be really weak women, there can also be really strong women, really scary women that kind of have that dominating thing, independent women, just loads of different type of women, that it's not just sort of, you know, one stereotype or one type of woman. I think it was done really well.
Yeah, I agree. I think that with the way that Fond du Lis kind of wrote like the familial aspects of this book, you're to think that the pillar of the clans are supposed to be men. And in the No Peak, that's obviously the case, because when Lon dies, it's now Hilo that steps up as opposed to Shay, which is kind of like what that whole thing is. And in the mountain, it probably would have been the same with a man taking over, except for the pillar of the mountain is such a badass bitch that she literally killed every single person in order to get herself to that point. So I really liked that Fond du Lis kind of like broke down those walls and barriers and stuff like that, and said like, listen, like we don't need it to always just be a man that's running these clans. We can have a female, not only a female, but one that got like earned her stripes to be there, and like is very, very scary. So
yeah, I like the portrayal of women. I didn't actually really think about it until this question, but it's actually really good now that I am thinking about it. And I love the Pillar of the Mountain clan. She's such a fun character to read from. Like, I just think she's such a good character. So I really want to see more from her, because I just found her so interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Fond du Lis said that she will focus her books on the Cole family and No Peak members more. And I think the only thing is that I'm really sad that we're probably not going to see a lot of chapters in the point of view of Jade Mata, because she's just so interesting, like you guys already said, basically.
Yeah. So like Fond du Lis said that for Jade War, like we're not going to, or
yeah. So I watched the Subtle Asian Book Club live, where the girls there had Fond du Lis over, and that's what she said basically in the live show.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was everyone's like favorite part of the book? Like not favorite scene, but like the favorite aspect of it. Because for me, it was the familial bonds. Like I love the family so much. So like, what was everyone's like favorite part?
Yeah, I think it's the same for me, like the family.
I have to think about that. That's a good question.
Yeah.
For me, probably also the family dynamics, but also the fighting scenes and how Jade affects everybody and how they're using it, which I'm really hoping that we're going to see more of in Jade War.
Yeah, I actually liked the Jade aspect and the fact that Fonda Lee put something in like Shine, like the SN1 production, and kind of that whole like, okay, well, this clan is going to take advantage and we're going to produce this stuff. And then this clan is kind of on the other part of it. So, like, just like the clan dynamic with like anybody can kind of use Jade as long as they're using like Shine and like that whole like aspect of it, I thought was really cool. It was a very interesting magic system using Jade. So,
yeah, I really like the fact that she doesn't just gloss over, like, that she really goes into depth with the negative effects of using Jade. Whereas I think that sometimes authors can be a bit like, oh, it's magical, blah, 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 it's all fun and stuff like that, and just completely gloss over the fact that anything that you use is inevitably going to have an effect on you if you use too much of it. So that was really interesting. But I think my favorite part was probably the family and the way that it ties into the clan and stuff like that, that it is very much, it kind of felt like a monarchy kind of thing where it's like, you know, someone dies and the person that's next in line is going to sort of step up and take their place. So, and also I think it just, it gives you something to invest in because you know that they're all connected. I think if they were just random people put together, you'd be a bit like, oh, well, what does it matter if, like, if Lan dies to everyone else? Because, like, yeah, they work together, but they don't have the same bond. Whereas when you know that they're, like, family members, they clearly have this, this dynamic that obviously when someone dies, it's going to affect them massively and not just on a, like, oh, no, now we've just lost our leader. It's now we've lost our brother, grandson, all that stuff.
yeah. I just have one more. I just have one more point that has nothing to do with any of that, but just to speak to Fonda Lee as an author. I wrote a little note that I think that Fonda Lee does a really good job throughout the entire book of constantly reminding you who people are so that you're not super confused. Like, I remember being on like chapter 40 and her saying like, Mata, the pillar of the mountain clan. Like, she'll always put like a little like thing in there where you're like, oh yeah, I haven't heard from this character in a while. Like, thank you for reminding me who this character is in terms of the story, which I think made for a lot better of a reading experience coming from someone who does not read fantasy very often. So just a little point there for Fonda Lee as an author, which I like definitely will continue reading her books for sure.
Yeah, this is probably the most confusing fantasy book I've ever read. Like, it really took my patience to understand who people were, because I don't think I've experienced something like this, like to this extreme, where I'm like, I've got no clue who anyone is, and I'm still kind of a bit fuzzy on like exactly everyone's role. Like, I still am confused with like the Weatherman, like, and like all of them roles and the Horn, because I think I'm like, is the Weatherman like economics? Well, not economics, but like monetary. I don't know how to explain it properly. Like, their roles confuse me still.
Like, the weatherman is supposed to be someone who can like really see into the future and who can kind of like guess stuff that's going to happen. So like basically like a real weatherman who will tell you tomorrow there will be sunshine, and then in this case Jay saying tomorrow there will be, I don't know, war or something like that.
Oh, and that's such a smart way to remember it. Because I was reading it and I'm like, I've got no clue what any of these roles are.
Does anyone have any like final thoughts on the book? Anything that they want to say?
I like how guns had repercussions. Like, they can't just use Jade to get rid of like the effects of guns. Like, if you're shot, you're shot. Because I know Daniel Green did an interview with Fonda Lee, and they spoke heavily about that aspect, so I like that as well. How like they actually have repercussions. It's not just something they can magically whip away.
Yeah, that's what I'm also really interested to see in the next book, because I mean, it's called Jade War, and the Mountain Clan and the No Peak Clan are going to war with each other, but I'm really interested to see how the other countries are going to be in that war too, since they don't have Jade, but they have guns. And yeah.
I think the final thing is that I still don't know if I'm gonna continue with the series. Maybe I will, but not anytime soon. No, I just don't want to read.
Do you think, Corinne, that do you think that your reading experience was kind of like tainted because you're in a reading slump? Then, like, do you think if you reread this when you're in a reading mood that you would like it a lot more than you did, or you kind of?
I feel like it's probably the same. I feel like if I'm not in a reading slump and I still read this, I still probably give it 3 out of 5 stars. Like
Yeah.
I try my hardest to like not let my reading slump, what do you call it, ruin my my opinion on this book. But at times I'm just like, this book's okay. I was gonna say, since I annotate every 100 pages, I would write on a post-it note like update on my updates on this book, like my thoughts and stuff like that. But like if you look through the post-it note, a lot of times it's like, it's just okay. So far so good. Just okay. Hopefully it gets better. And then 100 pages later, it's just like, it's just okay. But yeah, I think it's okay. But I do hope that the rest of the series will be good. Like Jade War will be amazing, and Jade Legacy, which comes out later this year, will be amazing as well. But as of right, I mean, I'll probably read it like later in the future. He's either sometime this year or sometime next year. But yeah, as of right now, I'm not sure if I'll continue with the series. I feel like I have to see like what other people will say. Like if like I have some friends who are planning to continue with the series. I want to see what they think first, and then I'll read the series. If they're like, no, you have to continue with the series.
And I feel like Jade War is going to be so much better than Jade City because now we know all the characters. We don't have them like 200 pages of build-up. So I feel like it's probably going to be a lot more intense from the get-go. Whereas like Jade City, it was a very long process for me. And like all the characters took forever for me to get interested in. So I feel like Jade War is just going to be a whole lot better. So I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, but I'm also afraid of the time jump, like you already mentioned before, because now I'm like really invested in what is happening right now, and I'm really afraid of what's going to happen.
Got that big of a time jump, so I feel like you'll be fine for Jade War.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Do you feel like that, or Lauren?
I don't know. I don't know how big the time jump is, because I might have read the last chapter of Jade War. Might have, but.
You give me so much anxiety.
I just need to know.
That's funny.
Yeah. Did you?
I think we're done. Are we almost done?
Yeah.
No.
If anyone else has anything to say, if not,
someone's going to say something. Sorry.
I just quickly wanted to add. Did you guys know that the book is going to be adapted as a TV show?
No.
Is it?
Yeah,
oh, that's good. So. I think it's better that it'll be a TV show than a film.
Yay, that's so exciting.
Because I can't picture things when I read, so I feel like having a TV show is going to be so much better.
For this, it'll be so cool. Like the way that they're going to be able to put you in this world is going to be so good.
Yeah, and I watched the live show, and Fondali actually said that the first book is maybe going to have even 2 seasons, which is really cool.
Yeah, that makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's all I wanted to add.
Chloe, do you want to close it off or?
Yes. Well, I did just want to say that I know that Leah was talking about potentially continuing the series as like a buddy read. Whether that will be something that we end up doing like a live show for or something. I know that I'm definitely interested in continuing it, and I know Leah's actually gone out and bought the book. What she tends to do as soon as we start talking about reading a book. So I don't know if any of you guys are joining in with that or what, but like I just wanted to, so they was sort of out there on this live and stuff like that. That's all I have to say really. I don't know, are any of you guys thinking of continuing it with us?
I definitely will be.
I want to.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
I'm up in the
Trin
air.
will just leave a question mark to be decided.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll end the live now. Thank you to anyone that watched. I hope that you enjoyed hearing some of our thoughts, and that we weren't all too confused about everything, because we know we were confused while we were reading it. Hopefully we managed to convey our thoughts nicely. And yeah, that's the end of the live.
Bye everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for coming.